Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Welcome to On the Flip Side. Every Monday we have our show On the Flip Side. The first Monday of every month is Mindset with myself, Diana, and Gavin. Gavin is a sales and mindset mentor. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Diana.
having
Wonderful to
on.
be here. Thanks so much for this opportunity and this invitation.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to hear what you have to say. So, what is our topic for today, or the question we'll be answering? You want to tell everyone, Gavin?
Yeah, how to move forward in real estate when you feel fear.
This is this is a topic, doesn't matter if you're in a good market, to be honest, or a bad market. I feel like, especially when you're just getting started into real estate, especially, I feel like there's always that fear of either in the good market, you're like, oh, what if I'm at the top and I'm buying for a high price, or when the market is down, or there's a lot of fear like there is right now, and then you're thinking, oh my God, but what if it goes down further? So I feel like no matter the market, especially when it comes to the newer investors, it is very scary, and there's always a lot of fear. So Gavin, do you have any tips that you would like to give to our viewers to help them? Maybe we should start with just even understanding, either help them or understanding fear, and how
Okay.
to maybe put it aside, and or be able to take the actions even though we feel those fears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's what we help our clients to do, Diana. So thanks for the introduction. And I work at Conway Consulting. We're a sales and mindset mentorship, and we have programs that help people to really move forward in spite of fear and understanding what fear is towards people's goals and ambitions, and becoming the better version of themselves in the world. So the one thing we want to understand about fear is that fear is natural, and fear comes up when you're moving outside your comfort zone.
100%.
So it's very natural to have the fear if you're going outside your comfort zone or doing something new, because it's your mind is trying to protect you from a terrible outcome. But the thing about when you're in fear, fear doesn't see opportunities. And fear, it's really just going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you in the same position for your entire life if you don't learn to move past it. So there's a beautiful quote about fear's false evidence appearing real. So you can feel the fear, but don't take all of the direction from it. Don't let it direct you when you're
100%.
making a decision about moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like what you said, and even about another way of saying it too, like you were saying, it's when you have fear, it's kind of like you got these blinders put on, and all you see are just the problems, and you don't actually focus on the other benefits. You just think your fear is so, if you allow your fear to get so strong, you have blinders to only pay attention to that, and you miss amazing opportunities.
Yes, for sure. So, so I've moved past fear a few times in my life. Well, a few times, many times in my life, but some of the biggest moves I've ever made were full of fear, and just kind of keep moving through them anyway. So one of the fears I had to overcome really is a change of career that I'd made a few years ago. And I'd wanted to do this change for many years before that, probably about 4 years. I've been thinking about it and never actually doing anything about it. So 18 months ago, I'd finally decided, hey, I need to make a decision. Am I going to continue on the path, or am I going to do this new thing? And that moment of when I gave my notice to my job that I'd been working, in this profession for about 15 years. And I gave the notice and I was shaking, I was sweating, I was crying, really. And it was just so intense. Like the emotion was so intense. It actually felt like I was gonna die or something. It was really, really intense. But
Mhm.
I just kept going through it anyway. And I really learned that, like, you cannot let the fear stop you from your ambitions and really what you want to do in life. But you have to understand that the emotion, the discomfort might be extremely high, and it's often a sign, okay, you're growing, you're moving, you're going to do something new. So don't let fear stop you.
100%. And I'll even
Yeah.
give an example from mine too. When same thing as yours, I was going to now move into full-time real estate. I felt very confident in being able to do it, but it was really funny for me. It was I didn't actually feel the fear when it happened. Like I was like, okay, ready to go. But it was that 1 week in, or
Mm.
past that 1 week, that I was just like that first week of like doing things on my own, organizing my life and be like, okay, now how am I going to do real estate, full time? And like, how am I going to organize my life and make sure, I'm moving forward? Like that was fine. Like that first week was fine for me. It was the second week where I don't know, I think then everything probably all the realization came of like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this full time.
Mm-hmm.
And that week, I felt like it was like a 2 week process of so much stress, so much fear. And it was really funny because the fear was, oh my God, I should go back. Like what fear does, I need to go back to the known. I know how the
Yeah.
9 to 5 works. And I'm just like, right now, I'm learning now my new behaviors, my new
Mm-hmm.
ways of living my life as a full-time real estate investor. And it was just like, oh my God, all these new things that I need to start like learning and figuring out. And it's just like, you know what? It's easier because I already know how the 9 to 5 works. And my mind was just going. And like trying to push it aside and just like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Especially that I was getting those fears, but it was funny because I was making the same money I was making before. I was very consistent money and actually like in lump sum sense, because I would make, I have my consistent money each month. I make a certain amount of money, but then I make these like bulk amounts. So I was making even more than what I actually made in a year. And I kept on having to remind myself, like you make so much more money. You did this part-time and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to do this and you're able to match your income just on part-time. And it was like that rehearsing to myself, like, don't listen to the fears, like
Yeah.
you're just scared just because now you're hitting into a new phase in your life and something that, okay, now I'm gonna like be an entrepreneur. There's no side money. I would say like my job was my side money to hold me over in case things went wrong. So that was the fear I went through, and it was just like really tearing at my mind.
Mm-hmm. What I love about that story, Diana, is that even though you were successful and you were earning the money and you had that stability in place, you still felt the fear.
Yeah, I feel like that fear will always be there, like you said, because it's
Mm-hmm.
the change that happens, right? It's like the 9 to 5, like I get it. I've been doing it for so many years. I know how it is. I know, like that, like it's the boss's responsibility to pay me. Now it's like my responsibility to make sure
Mm-hmm.
I and my employees get paid. It was just really funny to feel that where it's like, but my business is quite stable, like it's making good money because that's just my personality. Is also I'm very conservative, so I always get into things when I know that I'm ready and like there's to say almost no possibility of fail. Like I always get into
Mm-hmm.
situations that way, but it was still my mind still would want to play tricks on me. and
Yeah.
and like that, I think it's normal because another thing that you were saying was that you know the fear is just to stop you from doing new things, right? Like you have these habits set in you and your mind's like, no, 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 you don't need to do anything new. Let's stick with the
Yeah.
same habits. Like this is just not like we don't need to make any changes because our mind loves to stay in the state it's in. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to make changes. And so the fear just really wants to talk at you. and just tell you, no, you know this lifestyle, be it good or bad, but you know the lifestyle there. Like, let's just stick with that. You know it, you know? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, the fear is, yeah, it is designed to keep you safe, so yeah, so I think it's really important to keep moving through it, like I said before. So, despite the evidence to the contrary, where you might have all this evidence that, yeah, this might seem like either a good decision or a bad decision, but either way, there's going to be some fear if there's change there. So really, it's when there's a change is about to happen, that's really when it kicks in. So, I mean, underneath it all, unconsciously, we're asking these questions like, what does it take to do this? Do I have what it takes to do it? And if there's a part of you that has questions, like negative answers around, like, oh, I don't know if I can, or do I have what it takes to become a real estate investor or an even bigger real estate investor, then your mind is going to also want to protect you. It's like, you know what, maybe you shouldn't do it, but you want to realize it is there to serve a purpose, but it is not going to help you to move forward.
100%, completely agree. Yeah, the way I've also started seeing fear for myself is like what you're saying. I see it now more as like a checklist to things to be aware of, and for myself to kind of to investigate and be like, is this realistic? Have I done the check that I need to make sure I'm not making any mistakes or whatever? It's more
Yeah.
like, have I looked into it? Have I is this realistic, or am I just saying, like, what if the housing market goes to zero? And then I'm like, is that really possible? Probably not,
Yeah.
like understanding which are the unrealistic fears and just pushing those aside, just being like, your mind is just telling you this to just do whatever it can to make you not change,
Yeah.
And the other ones that are like the checklist, like, did you do this? Did you do this? I'm like, okay, let me make sure I did check into this. I did talk to this person, or I did look into the house information, whatever it is, So I feel like it comes with two sides, like the unrealistic side, and then also the side of just your checklist. Okay, make sure that these things have been done so that I feel comfortable. Like, yes, the fear is there, but I still feel comfortable to move forward, because the fear is just more of just the fear of the unknown, the next step, but not because I haven't done my due diligence, not because I haven't, checked in and I make sure I understand what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, for sure. So when I mentor and coach my clients at Conway Consulting, one of the first things we do is ask, like, what it's about, who are you, or who are you becoming? Like, what type of person do you want to be? What type of real estate investor do you want to be? And then you want to ask yourself, well, how does that person think? How do they make decisions? What are their priorities? What do they believe? What are their standards? What are they willing to accept? So it helps if you can, like, form this idea or this image or this concept of the type of real estate investor that you want to be, and actually write it down. And I'm going to, at the end of this, I've got a link that I can share with you where we help people to actually just begin to write that down. It's called a self-image work, really, like how you see yourself and how you want to see yourself.
Yeah.
So this is the mindset piece. So there's doing the due diligence, and there's, looking at the numbers and the process and the system, but there's also what I call the harmonics of it, the energy of it, who you are. Like, when you're going out to speak to people about a deal, if you're trying to raise finance, for example, you can have all the numbers, but there's also going to be this intuitive, emotional aspect to the whole situation as well. So you want to be conscious of both. It's not just about having the numbers. It's also about who you are when you show up, and what type of person do you want to be that shows up. So always recommending both.
100%. And I, to be honest, feel like actually what you're saying, that should come first. Because even I've been like that. You helped me actually just recently, was I was feeling lost because like that. Now I'm going through a phase of that because I have, things are changing. I'm starting to now learn the new Diana. Like, who is this person, Diana, that is an entrepreneur and that, makes this money. And it was just like, who is this person? Like, what does this person want to do? And that was something that you're helping me with, is by asking me questions, to understand what is it that I really want to do, because now I'm at a phase that money isn't really an issue to me. I kind of am looking for other things, like other things that will motivate me to move forward, because money doesn't motivate me. I mean, I did what I wanted, I got financial freedom, yay, done, now it's just like next, what do I do next, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that's very true. I feel like you really need to know who you are, what you want, what your desires are, to be able to actually, you know, make those steps and make the right decisions, right? Because like that, I think I was in a limbo state for a few months actually, was because I just didn't really, nothing seemed to motivate me. And I needed, like that, you helped me bring out what it is that I wanted, and just learn more about myself, or not even, yeah, learn, but also like listen. Because I felt like some of the things that I was saying, I knew, but I felt like you said, writing it down, I felt like, oh yes, I really do believe in this, or this is, like it just helped reinforce that this is who I am, this is what I want to do, and believe that it was, I feel like when you don't write it down, it's kind of like it's not true or something. I don't know. I just felt like when I had to write it down, I felt really empowered and like, yes, this is who I am. And so it really helped me out. And so I completely agree. I think even before anything is, because like that, like you can do whatever you want, but if you don't know who you are, you may be heading down a path that is not you. And then and then it's just kind of like, oh, okay, I got these properties, now what? If you don't understand like why you're doing it, you don't understand yourself. Like that's another thing you taught me that I really enjoy, is like questioning yourself on it. I feel now I try to do it on a daily basis, like at least ask myself like one question every day to kind of just get to know myself, and write it down and organize. Like writing it down also helps me organize my thoughts. So I think it's more for that too, to just like, oh, okay, this, and then you rewrite it one more time, because you're just like, no, actually I didn't mean that. I think I was just like, someone else was saying that, or like you hear from someone else, and so you write it down, but then as you're writing notes, you be like, no, that's not really my point of view, and then you start changing it, like this is actually my point of view. So even just understanding that sometimes people tell you things and you start off with that, but then realizing as you're writing down, you kind of feel like that's not true for me though. It's just maybe I've heard it in advertisements, I've heard other people say this, and I feel like this is the path I need to follow. In real estate, the biggest one is like, especially guys like this, the goal is like to buy the Ferrari. And I never jived with that, to be honest. I'm like, I don't really care about cars to want to get a Ferrari, and that was like, I guess, the motivator in the real estate world. And for me, it didn't really make sense. So for example, that was not a motivator for me to be like, I want my Ferrari. I'm like, not really, I'm like, maybe I'll do Tesla, but I'm like, I have other things that interest me more, So I feel like those kind of things, really help, like that. Like you don't really like getting to know yourself. Like I feel like you helped me, and I mean, I'm still getting to know myself, but you really helped me realize how important it is to get to know myself, to start paying attention to that.
So can I ask you a question about that? So what is there like one thing that you realized or learned or identified about yourself that you would go like, yeah, this is me?
I would say, which I learned, but again, I felt like you helped me reinforce it, was that I when people say, or like, I'll say the phrase, I have control over my mind and body. When people would say that, I don't know if I really fully believed it or thought it was true until I went through all the phases of like finding properties and seeing how easy it was when I believed that I could do it. And just the transformations like that going into real estate has helped me do. It really made me believe that statement that I can actually make myself do whatever I want. And I find it so interesting and like kind of like a game. Like, ooh, what can I make Diana do today? You know, like what do I need to put inside my head to make happen in the physical world
Yeah.
type of thing, you know, because it's you start realizing like that, like if you don't believe you can buy the house, you're not going to buy the house because you don't even believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
Once you actually have that inner, and that's something, for example, I've known in my life actually, that in my life I would feel this feeling in my heart where it's like, I'm getting it. This is happening, that kind of feeling. And it would happen. And I really felt it like in my heart. Like it was a very interesting feeling, or in my body. Like I just knew. But I never knew, for example, like how to harness that. I just knew that, okay, these type of things that do happen and others don't. And I
Yeah.
realized it was more that because I truly believed, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that job that's happening, for example. Or yeah, like I am, this house is mine, and I would just in my interior know like that I'm actually gonna buy that house. Like it was very like, I don't know, it's a very strange feeling that you get that
It's
you just know.
yeah. Well, that's intuition. So the thing about intuition, or that I love about intuition, or how it's been described, like intuition is knowing something without having prior knowledge of it. So it sounded like you had some intuition there around, yeah, whether you're going to buy the house or whatever it was. You know, sounds like there's like an alignment inside between your head and your heart, like a knowing. So
But
yeah,
with
I
this
think that people also
situation,
want to go ahead. Sorry.
oh sorry, yeah. I was just gonna say, I want to tell you a situation because I'm curious if that's intuition or not. And this is not related to real estate, but I feel like it's a good example of, because I'm curious to know if this is intuition or not. So I had a period in my life where I was in university and I was tired of university. I just kind of need to take a break. So I, told my parents, I'm going back home. I'm going to do a co-op instead, which is, working for a year. I just needed to take a year off, but I didn't want to quit university. I just needed to take a break. And like that, when I told my parents, I'm like, I'm going to get a co-op job. And let me tell you that the co-op applications and everything was already done. Like you couldn't actually like apply for it anymore and like get them to place you, because it was like basically I think like a month before me leaving, and that happens like you have there's a time frame. I don't even know actually how the process works, but I'm like, I'm getting a co-op job. It's going to be an engineering job, and I'm going to put this towards my degree, because at least if I'm not going to work, I'm not going to study, I'm going to get my co-op. I'm going to add like an extension of also with a co-op designation. And it was funny because then I told the plan also to my friends, like, this is what's happening, taking a year off. Don't worry, I'm not going to quit. I just need a break. And like that, I just fundamentally, like, I just like knew it was going to happen, but I hadn't done any searching or looking or anything of it. Is that it? Would you consider that intuition? Because I did get it. Like I took a month off for a break. Like I was like 1 month vacation. And then actually within the week I already had an engineering job, and I called the school and I'm like, I'm doing this, sorry that it didn't happen. Like I didn't go through the proper processes, but I'm like, I have a job and I want to do it as a designation, and and I got it.
Yeah, well, the thing, intuition is knowing, but intuition always comes first. So if it was like the first thing you notice, or the first response, or like the first idea where you said, yeah, you set the intention, you made a decision you were gonna do that, and then you knew, but that knowing comes first. So I don't know, was there fear? Did fear show up? No.
I was like done with school. Like I needed a break.
Okay.
I was one of those like I needed a change to my life right now. I couldn't do the, pulling all-nighters and sleeping
Yeah.
habits, and it was just like my body was out of chaos, and it was just like and I never took like the summers off. I was actually studying consistently except for the first year of university. So it was just like I actually needed a break, and I just needed a
Okay.
change. There was actually no fears. Like I was like, this
Yeah.
is happening. I get,
Yeah.
it's just like it's happening. I don't care. I'm tired.
Yeah. So I'm also hearing that you set a goal, you set an intention, and what sounded like it was happening no matter what, Diana,
Yeah,
to
it
me
was
as
one of
well.
those like it's happening. Like I'm gonna do whatever it takes
Yeah.
because I'm not going to study. I was like, I needed to take a year off, and I'm also the type of person that I don't want to also to say waste my time. Like I don't want to just do nothing for a year.
Hmm.
So I was like, I might as well do something that benefits me. And
Yeah.
I thought getting an engineering job would obviously help for
Yeah.
out of school once I'm out of school.
So it does sound like there is some intuition in there because there was no fear. So fear is always going to want to keep you stuck and in the same position. But if fear is present, your intuition isn't gonna work properly, or it's going to be hard to know or hard
Mm-hmm.
to read it.
Mm-hmm. Although
So,
actually, maybe now that you say that, I probably like for that semester, I was probably bouncing back and forth through
mhm,
should I do it? Should I not? Is it a good decision? Is it not? But when I finally made, so there probably, I would say now that I think of it, there was fear or contemplation during that semester because I probably wanted to actually leave sooner. And then it was like that 1 month when things were ending, I'm like, okay, I'm finding a job. I'm just gonna, this is happening. I'm going to do it. So probably there was fear, but then like that logic came in, or my desires came in further. And as like the break was just so important for me that the fear didn't come afterwards. Like it was there to kind of stop me maybe from doing it.
yeah,
But then but then I came to a point like, nope, I know this is what I want to do. I am going to take the break. It'll benefit me because I'll get a co-op. So I'll at least have like that designation. And that was the non-negotiable, like that's happening. I'm going to get it just because
yeah.
at least I have, an engineer with a co-op, with co-op experience.
Mhm. So I'm hearing in there's some attitude as well. Like you had a certain attitude uh, towards that thing you wanted to do. So for people investing in real estate and real estate investors, you want to become aware of your attitude. Is it positive with an expectation, like a good expectation, or is it always towards the negative and kind of feeling maybe like feeling the risk stronger than is maybe necessary? So,
Mhm.
there's actually a study done by Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize back in 2003, and he's a behavioral economist and psychologist. And he won the Nobel Prize because he found that people's way the losses carry twice as much emotional impact as gains. So if you were going to gain $1,000, and if you're going to lose $1,000, you would feel the loss of $1,000 twice as heavy and twice as intensely as you would if you gained $1,000.
Mhm.
So our minds have this bias all the time. So which is why people feel the fear of loss twice as hard or twice as heavy as the gain.
Mhm.
So in a way, in the mind, positive and negative are not opposites. They're almost like two different kind of scales. So when if you're thinking negative all the time and you can't bring yourself to think the positive, look at the positive sides, it's better to think not negative, to be more neutral.
100%.
So positive
Because you
or
don't,
neutral
go on.
is the way to look at it, to have that perspective.
Yeah, because you don't realize, especially like that. I think when you start really paying attention to your feelings more and being more aware of it, is
Yeah.
when you actually start realizing how much actually negativity brings you down, either you yourself or around you. That's something I feel like that I've been also within this journey of real estate. I really started understanding like that the importance of what I want around me, and how I should be thinking, because like that now I notice, for example, like I'll get into sometimes like this full on negative mode and I'm like, oh my god, Diana, get out of it, and I'm like trying to tell myself something else positive, but you're like, but you like this and this is great and this is awesome, because you're just, I'm trying to like get out, because you do feel like it, the negative pulls you down a lot harder than I feel like the positive brings you up. Like you could be positive and it'll bring you, let's say, like you said, like using positive will bring you to the neutral, let's say, or maybe a little bit higher. But I feel like the negative, like I feel like it drags down a lot deeper, and you're just like, oh man, I feel like I need like 3 positive for every negative, you know, like if I do 1 negative, it's just like, oh man, I need to like bring the positive up like tenfold.
Yeah. So, well, now we know why. So everyone's mind is naturally, just naturally works that way. So the other thing, what you said there, Diana, was about environment and the importance of environment. So I imagine that you have people here in your group who are possibly not in an environment with other real estate investors, and they might be getting their advice or information possibly from people who've never done it.
100%.
And they might have people in their family or in their network or in their family, probably friends and family, going, don't do it, right? They're always encouraging people to not take the risk. You know what? Me and my partner, we bought a cottage about an hour and a half north of Toronto last year, and all his friends said, don't do it. Don't do it. And we have this beautiful place now. We went ahead and did it anyway. And again, it's like every single one of them said no, and now they love it. So, you know, so it's really amazing to see. So you need to be very careful where you get your guidance and where you get your information from. And certainly don't take it from the people who've never done it before and may never do it. So you really have to watch for that.
Yeah, and even actually now that you're saying that, because I remember speaking about this before too, is that when we change, also even the friends around us, because for them it becomes a change too, right? If their friend is changing, they're getting worried like, oh my god, the dynamics or something is going to change, and they don't like it. So sometimes like that, it's being around the right people, for example, and just understanding, right? Because like that, at least in the real estate sense and entrepreneurial sense, you know, you want to be around those people, because sometimes, you know, I'll talk to someone about a specific problem and it just goes way over their head, because they're just like, I don't understand, because they're used to the 9 to 5. They're not used to the ups and downs that are, you know, being an entrepreneur, the real estate world's like. And so it is really important actually to be even around real estate investors, because, you know, they'll understand, you know, you understand each other. Or if there's a problem that comes up, or some kind of negative, like, oh, you know, this person said this, then at least you can ask a real estate investor, and then they'll explain it to you from the point of view as a real estate investor. And then at least you kind of have that, oh, okay, you know, because it is hard to have people who don't understand what you do. And I feel like because they don't understand, they're like, no, don't do it. That seems super risky, or that's a very bad decision, or whatever it is, because they don't understand. But then it's like going to the actual sources, like finding people that's been there, do it, and ask them the questions so that you're getting the right information. Because like that, everyone runs through the fear, right? Something new, oh no, don't do it. That just does not, that seems too risky, or, you know, it just starts bringing you down.
Yeah. So that's the way most people operate. So really, what is mindset? Well, mindset is about managing your mind. Really is like the active management of what you're thinking and noticing what you're thinking, and really learning to develop a mindset or an attitude, which is part of your mindset, that is moving you towards the direction you want to go.
And actually, another point that you brought in your story that I kind of wanted to also reiterate is that you made the change and then your friends accepted it. So I think that's also something that happens too, even in real estate. Actually, in real estate a lot, like as entrepreneurs, like once they see that things are successful, things are moving forward, then the ones that like, then the family starts jumping on the bandwagon, then the friends start jumping on the bandwagon and like, oh, you know, or sometimes they're even like, you know, I knew you could do it,
I knew you
or
could
like,
do
you're
it.
awesome, or this
Yeah.
is the best, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because it's like that, and it's like we're like like the proof of concept, you know, like go do it, get it done, you know, find the group of people that you're with won't, it's because the fear is stronger for them than it is for you. Move forward, get around those people that will prop you up, help you, give you the advice you need to move forward. Because once you start making those steps and you start, you know, buying your house here, buying your house there, and you start moving forward, they're watching, and then they'll either become interested, want to get involved in your projects, or they start being more positive. They'll give you that, like,
Yeah.
you know, then they're like, oh, you know, like, oh, this person is selling a house, you should, you know, you should buy it, or they start helping you out in certain ways, you know, they start
Yeah.
like, oh, you know, I heard this about real estate, or do you know what about that's going on in the market? Because now that they see that, okay, you're being successful, they do want to start getting involved. And the ones that don't, I mean, you start seeing them, they kind of start disappearing on, and they, you know, they kind of start going into a different friend circle.
Yeah. Yeah, so the environment's so important, really. So just to understand the impact that environment really has on our thinking and the decisions we make. So not to be underestimated at
100%.
all.
And like that, like you said, just for the last thing, that if you want to do it, go talk to people that have done it, and then make
Yeah,
your decisions accordingly. Don't let your decisions be decided by people that have never done it, because they're running on fear and you're running on fear, so that's just going to push you away. But at
yeah,
least if you're running on fear and you're talking to people that have done it, they're not running on fear because they've done it. So then they can at least give you the confidence that they see in what they're doing and help you reduce your fears.
yeah, for sure. To go to people who've been through it, such as yourself, Diana. So very good. Awesome.
Thank you. And so last, what, like, any final tip or last final comments that you would like to give to the viewers before we end this?
Yeah, so I would start with really understanding your why. Where are you going? What type of person do you want to become? What type of investor do you want to become? Who are you doing it for? Is there a bigger motive or mission behind what you're doing? Maybe it's for your family, but is it also possibly for your community? So how are you serving? What's the good you actually want to be creating, like in your mission, your vision as to why you're doing this? So when you have identified the type of person you're becoming, that you can then start to rely on that. So I'm going to put a link here if people would like to do a little exercise that I've got on self-image, which is going to help you to identify and write down who is this version of you that's making the deals. What do they believe? What are their decisions? How do they make decisions? So how do they manage their fear? Do they let fear stop them, or do they operate from a state of mind that has belief and faith in it? So yeah, so I'm going to give a link to that. So I think that would be a really good place to start. Like, what type of person do you want to, are you becoming? And
100%.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
great point, because that, like you exactly said, right? Getting to know you is so important to making sure you're picking the right goals, even the real estate goals, you know, the financial goals, whatever real estate is going to give you to make you achieve what you really, really want, will help you make those moves forward. Because if you're lost, I feel like your goals probably won't give you that motivation you need,
yeah,
because you don't really know why you're doing those goals, and you
yeah,
need to know what is the purpose behind these goals. Like, yes, because maybe like that, like I'm in a phase where money doesn't really motivate me. So my motivations are changing right now. For other people, money does motivate because you're, trying to get financially free, or you just need that little extra income because you maybe want to take a vacation or whatever it is. But understanding really what it is that you want to do so that you're really picking the right goals. And then it really helps you to achieve them because you know what.
Yeah. You have a direction for yourself and for your life. So
Mhm.
so really important if you want to go anywhere or do anything of any significance for yourself or your family or the people around you.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Diana.
Gavin, for coming on. It was so good. I always love chatting with you. You
Thank
always
you.
have a lot of great input, and thank you so much. So if you guys
Okay.
like what you heard, Gavin will be tagged on this, so you can definitely follow him and see what Gavin's up to these days and what kind of interesting mindset information he's giving out.
Okay. And if anyone has any questions, they can also put those in the comments, and I can answer in the comments too, Diana.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gavin.
Thank
Hope to see
you.
everyone in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thanks.